Okay, awesome. Was super nice to meet you, and
hmm
thank you for being here today. I came across Saki AI's pitch deck, and I became intrigued about what it is that you're doing. Ended up on your LinkedIn and kind of wanted to know your story,
hmm
which is why I invited you to join me today. And
Yeah,
let's start there. What's your story? How did you get here? What I do know as of this point is that you did your undergrad in India. Seems like you've worked at a few startups, and I believe you've tried to start some startups prior as well. And you studied entrepreneurship at the University of San Francisco. So
yeah.
curious how what led to what and how are you here today?
Okay, that's a 3 hour question, but I'll try to bog it down into like 5-10 minutes. So how it started was I was always a nerdy guy. Was really interested, like good at studies because I realized that the game was not how well educated you are, it's how well you know how to play the game of exams. So that is how I started getting good grades. I was really into astrophysics, and I got into a bunch of universities in the US
Mhm.
for my astrophysics degree,
Mhm.
and also a bunch in Australia as well. And I was like a fanatic about going out for my education ever since I was a kid, and that never really happened at the end. And the reason was the COVID-19.
This
It
was your
was
undergrad?
Yeah, for my undergrad.
Okay.
So March 2020,
Mhm.
undergrad, I just couldn't go because everything was so uncertain. Even though I had offers, even though I had scholarships, I just couldn't because, how can you abandon your family? It was so uncertain at this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of went into a hole, but like I somehow garnered a lot of respect when I got my board results.
Okay.
Everyone started looking up to me because I ranked like sixth or seventh in the country.
Wow.
And yeah, that was a big deal to everyone, not a big deal to me, but
I mean, it's a big deal. It sounds like a big deal. I didn't know that.
yeah, so that actually led to like a lot of I come from a very small tier two city, Guwahati in India. So that out there, like if something like this happens, a lot of people start calling you, and all the millionaires, multimillionaires who started calling my father because it's a small knit society,
Yeah.
and I started getting a lot of respect.
It's a
And
quick question. What was your score? What was the CBSE board? What was
then it
it?
was ICSC. Yeah.
Okay, ICSE. And they give you ranks? Is that what they do?
Yeah, so it's like percentage wise ranks. So I was like the sixth percent like in the rank.
Interesting. Sorry, continue. Lots of phone calls.
Yeah, so I started getting this respect, and like I went into a hole during the COVID-19, and that respect led me to come out of that and start my first company. Honestly, I was like I started watching a lot of Warren Buffett videos of the conference calls he used to have
Hmm.
with Charlie Munger and stuff like that. And I was like, I need to start investing. I think that that was my biggest motivation for starting my first startup. And
Uh-huh.
like I was like, what kind of skills do I have that I can leverage to start investing?
Hmm.
And I realized coding is literally everything that I know. And there was this company in India called White Hat Junior, which was taking off at that point of time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they were charging like 2,000 rupees per class. And I was like, there's the market out here
Hmm.
because they have done the branding and the marketing to activate Indian parents to
Hmm.
start pushing their kids towards coding. Now I just
Hmm.
have to leverage that and off undercut them. And
That's
that's what I
smart.
did. Yeah. And I started doing cohort-based classes.
Hmm.
I specifically remember it was my 18th birthday.
Hmm.
I actually had COVID-19.
Oh.
My whole family had COVID-19. I
Hmm.
was in my room, isolated, pretty sick.
Hmm.
My birthday, and that was the first class that I had. I was actually teaching people, and yeah, it was one of the most influential experiences of my life because that is the first, uh, that is when I found my North Star metric uh, for my life. It was actually seeing value being created for other people. Because at the end of the first class, it was 2 hours long, and I had these kids, um, playing with their MIT App Inventor apps that they've made,
Hmm.
and they were showing it to their parents, and their eyes just lit up. And that has been my North Star metric in my whole entrepreneurial journey. And yeah, that company scaled. It scaled pretty fast. I used uh, the marketing strategy for Tupperware. Tupperware used to do this marketing strategy with Indian moms and the community around them, the
Mm-hmm.
WhatsApp communities. So I
Uh-huh.
just tapped into that because they were the key decision makers in this as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it spread like wildfire from one city to like seven, eight states.
Uh-huh.
Uh, over a period of 6 months, I was earning lakhs. I employed a lot of these folks from different universities to start teaching these kids,
Uh-huh.
and it expanded. We had 15 students per class on weekends, and the coaches were earning a lot of money as well. So that was like my first hint into entrepreneurship. But then,
Boss,
I
I'm
kind
just
of
gonna
lost. Yeah.
quick question. What's the Tupperware thing with you're teaching classes? How did the Tupperware strategy directly connect to that? I couldn't follow.
So two things. Firstly, like I was really apprehensive about starting this because I was like, there's so many people doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my dad told me that India is such a big market. There is space for every competitor. It
Mm-hmm.
is a constantly underserved market. So
Mm-hmm.
never think that there's too much competition. Just go there.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, what Tupperware did was their key audience were homemakers in India.
Mm-hmm.
And they targeted this strategy where they made these moms their referral partners, their affiliate partners.
Mm-hmm.
They gave them shipments of their
Uh,
stock, and they were the ones who were selling it. So this was like a community driven marketing strategy.
mm-hmm.
And I realized that my key decision maker was Indian moms as well, because they were the ones
Yeah.
who were like actively invested in their children's education.
Mm-hmm.
And so I leveraged their WhatsApp communities, basically WhatsApp marketing, sent out a lot of posters, discounts, made them referral partners as well, a bunch of them in different states, and
Mm-hmm.
just caught on like wildfire.
That's pretty cool. Did you start with some moms that you knew in your network, or were these like just
My mom and my aunt.
okay? So those are
That's
two.
how it started, just two people.
Okay, and then they told you about their friends and so on and so on.
Yeah, they just circulated in their communities and that's why I was surprised. Like, it is such a big network that these moms have that
Mhm.
within a month, I started getting calls from Delhi, from Chennai,
Wow,
because, everyone's so interconnected. It was fun.
that's interesting. And were these kind of like, w- is it right to think of them as like online tuitions that you're teaching for programming, or was there some sort of like video class?
Yeah.
Like, what was it?
So it was completely online,
Mhm.
removing all friction.
Uh-huh.
Secondly, the thing was we were giving one-on-one attention, but in
Mhm.
a cohort fashion, because that helped us bring the costs down
Mhm.
and also deliver a good quality of time. So they were coming on 10, 15 folks. We
Mhm.
were teaching all of them, but we also had breakout rooms
Mhm.
where they could go on, and we also had like another two people who were teaching one class, and the other person, that was usually me, they
Mhm.
would come to the breakout room, any kid who's facing difficulty, and
Mhm.
I would teach it to them mid class very nicely, and they would jump back in.
Interesting. But if they jump into your class, won't they miss the main class?
Uh, uh, that is how we designed it, so that they could completely follow up. It was like a master class in 5 minutes, so something like that. it
Interesting.
it somehow worked. I don't know how, but it somehow worked.
That's fascinating, man.
Yeah.
So I'm just very curious, but let's get back to your like main story and like
Yeah.
your trajectory.
Yeah, so after that, kind of I don't know, I kind of got bored of this whole uh thing.
Uh-huh.
A lot of coaches, like, COVID started reducing a lot of these coaches that I had who were like IIT students and people like those. So
Mhm.
they also started getting back to work. So and that is when I realized that I actually don't know everything yet. I don't know how to scale this, because there were, customer support issues, parents were not happy, a lot of things. Like, that was one of my biggest failures that I saw. A lot of people were not happy with the quality of classes because I wasn't able to maintain it. I was
Mhm.
able to scale it to X number of classes, and after that I just didn't have the knowledge.
Sure,
And that is one of the realizations I had, that before starting my own startup at scale, I need to work with good high growth startups.
sure.
And that is when the switch happened. And that is when I got into college. And I don't know if I should say this, but in my undergrad degree, I was doing computer science. I went to college apart from my exams like 7 days over 3 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I
So
studied
what were you doing? What were you
marketing.
doing all those days?
Bunch of things, a bunch of things. I was never interested in this sort of a colloquial education. I never intrigued me. And in the beginning, I had gone so deep into computer science that the first couple of semesters,
Mhm,
whatever they were teaching, I pretty much knew that. So the first couple of semesters, I had no incentive going, and post that, I figured that my time was better spent elsewhere.
mhm,
So I started just doing internships and learning on the side. I did my first internship in computer science
mhm,
as a software engineer, and I realized that this is not for me. Like I love coding. I love the ability to transform my ideas into actual products, but
mhm,
doing that for someone else, nana. That was the first time I realized I won't be able to sit for 8 hours for the rest of my life and code
mhm,
for someone else.
mhm.
For myself, I can do that, but
Huh.
that is when I made the switch. I did an internship in computer science, then I did an internship in strategy, in sales, in operations,
Mhm,
in marketing. Bunch of internships with bunch of high growth startups.
mhm,
Used a lot of strategies to get into those places, get those internships.
mhm,
Um, yeah, and that's how I learned a lot. I became a generalist because I started learning about sales, marketing, operations, communication,
mhm,
strategy, leadership, management, so many things. Because I was working closely with these, Series A or seed stage startups back
mhm.
in India.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was fun. That was like my learning plateau. I was not, growing per se, but like in terms from an intellectual standpoint, I was learning so much, and it might not have seemed that valuable to me,
Mhm,
but I did. I also had a lot of bad experiences with a lot of bad founders,
mhm.
uh, and that really helped me understand uh, what I don't want to become, and that is really important.
Are you comfortable sharing any of these experiences, or do you prefer not to?
No, I'm comfortable sharing them. I think what happened with a couple of founders was, sometimes these founders, they're too attached
Hmm.
to their company.
Mhm,
And that is one thing that I've learned, not to be too attached to what you're doing.
mhm,
Because if you treat it like your baby, when your
mhm,
baby dies, it hurts. When someone is, uh, you know, uh, not like how a father is so cautious about his daughter, right? No guy is good enough for a daughter.
mhm,
Same way, no employee is good enough for their company. That is what a couple of founders' mentality was. So, even though I was there, I was giving my output. They just didn't like it. Not because the output wasn't good, but
mhm,
because their expectations were beyond the world.
mhm,
Uh, and some of them didn't know how to train or nurture
mhm,
these folks. And yeah, I think these were a couple of bad experiences. Actually, a lot of these led to a lot of mental breakdowns at my end, a
mhm.
lot of stress at my end because
Of
uh,
course.
at one point while I was working with this one founder,
Yeah.
every time I got a call from him,
Mhm.
it would stress me out. I would actually start palpitating. So that was the kind of relationships I developed a
Wow.
lot.
No, I mean that's scary, and I understand. That some of these things happen in this world, which is unfortunate, but it is in some senses a part of this world, I guess. Uh, and I'm curious how did you end up in San Francisco at USF? Uh, was there any San Francisco connection there? Because I know like the world of entrepreneurship, lots of things happening in San Francisco. Even my wallpaper is, or my
Yeah,
backyard, I guess, is the Golden Gate Bridge. So,
yeah. Yeah, there is actually a neat story behind this.
uh-huh.
I actually, for a brief period of time, there were some personal issues that I was facing, and I was like, let me just give my GMAT. I might as well try and go out and study. I wasn't able to for my undergrad. Maybe this makes sense. Although I wasn't super sure about it because the construct of formal education had kind of broken down for me. But I
Mm,
was I was like, there was this kid inside me who wanted to go and study at Princeton doing astrophysics when I was a
uh-huh.
kid. That was still screaming like, you must try.
Mm, mm,
And yeah, so I gave my GMAT,
mhm,
and luckily, I also got this full-time job um, in my final year of
mm,
my undergrad.
mhm,
I actually started working full-time. my previous job behind this, before this was also full time. So I
Mhm.
actually worked two full time jobs, and that is the reason why I never got to go went to college. Luckily, my college was pretty chill about it. They
Uh-huh.
knew they knew I was doing my own shit, so they were like, okay, just they just gave me my degree at the end of the day. I gave my exams, passed it. It was all right.
For sure. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so lucky. Yeah. If that's why, I never really have any regrets in life. I
Mhm.
could have sat down and regretted not going for my undergrad
Mhm.
outside,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't have experienced anything if I did.
Of course.
And this is one thing I learned from Gary V. I don't know if you, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
the marketing guru,
Yeah.
uh, that guy once told in one of his events
Mhm.
that you should never really have any regrets in life. If I
Mhm.
wanted to study in Ivy League school, I got in. Maybe I got in. Maybe I got the opportunity to go.
Mhm.
Who knows? My flight might have crashed into the Himalayas. I
Mhm.
know it's pretty dark that I'm saying this, but the thing is, we always think that the counterpart, the action that we did not take,
Mhm.
was always better. You never know if it was good or not because it never really happened.
Sure.
So it's moot to think about what could have happened because what did happen is what matters. And that really helped me never look back for any regrets. Just learn from the mistakes that you've made.
Yeah.
And
That's a very
yeah,
interesting mindset. That's pretty cool.
that really helps me, focus on what I have now instead of what I don't.
Got it. Got it. And then, so you did two full-time jobs, and this was right after you graduated or during your undergrad?
During my graduation, I did one full-time job in my second year
Mhm.
and in my final year, second and third year. So I did a 3-year course.
Got it.
Uh, so in my third year, I got this job for a San Francisco-based, Bay Area-based startup.
Mhm.
And this was my first experience working with a startup outside of India. No, not really, but like based in the Bay Area.
How'd you get that
So,
opportunity?
uh, so as I told you, I like to view things as games.
Mm-hmm.
I told you about the game of exams a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
I like to view everything as a game.
Mm-hmm.
Giving an exam is not a test of your intellect about that subject.
Mm-hmm.
It's a test of how well you know how to get marks in that exam.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, getting a job is not about how good you are at getting that job or doing that job.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how good you are at doing that interview, of getting a job. It's the game of how to get a job. So
Mm-hmm.
I saw it for its face value, and I developed a lot of hacks of how to position myself, how to do interviews, how to find those opportunities, how to apply to those opportunities in a personalized way at scale. So
So
I
basically,
literally have a playbook which I'm sitting with one of my friends this Saturday and helping her out with this whole process of getting a job. So yeah, I developed that, and that helped me get all the internships that I did. Like I've done I did like 7 internships in my undergrad.
mm-hmm.
So that really helped me out. And yeah, I followed that playbook, got this job.
Mm-hmm.
It was at Alhina AI. Earlier, it was called Clean AI,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, growth growth in sales,
Mm-hmm.
because that was the track which I finally chose. As I told you, I moved out of software and started exploring other roles, and sales kind of stuck with me because I realized the importance of sales. It
Mm-hmm.
is literally the most important skill that you will ever need,
Got it.
hands down. Like
For
anyone can sit with me and argue, I will prove them wrong.
No, don't disagree at all. So you started working with this, US based, San Francisco based company. How did you get to USF?
Yeah, so I worked with them. It was a great experience.
Uh-huh.
And I gave my GMAT again because I got a 730 or something. I wasn't happy. I wanted to get a better score.
Mm-hmm.
Got a better score, and I was like, okay, it's my chance.
Mm-hmm.
I quit working at Lean because I realized, because my grandfather got cancer,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
no worries. He was at my place now, and I had to take care of him, and it really helped me upskill myself. It was like a career break of sorts, but I was with my family, helping my dad out with his business as well,
Mm-hmm.
and upskilling myself, taking care of my family, my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice. It was a little stressful at home as well because once you've had a cancer patient who's like
Sure, yeah.
terminally ill,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
yeah, I was like, So how I got to USF
Mm-hmm.
was it was a very calculated choice.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wanted to study abroad. That was a dream of mine, but I shouldn't, you know, put a whale on that and just study at the best university I get.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I wanted to be strategic about it. I knew that San Francisco Bay Area is the place you need to be for starting a company, for getting a job as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you are here, like I've had experiences with people who are studying in different places, like good universities in Texas, in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, even like Harvard students were not getting jobs because the market was so tough.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to be where you are, where the action is happening
Mm-hmm.
to get into, anything that you want. So
Mm-hmm.
that was like my first thing, getting into the valley. That was like the location part of things. Secondly, I didn't want to do a long course. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do a short course because I started wanted to start working and wanted to do something fun, meaningful, and informative, and that's why I did this MSEI course, Masters of Science in Entrepreneurship and Innovation. So something that really vibed with me.
Mm-hmm.
A short course, 11 months, and obviously I'm an immigrant,
Mm-hmm.
so I had to take care about my visa situation as well. So
Mm-hmm.
there were very few master's courses which were STEM
Mm-hmm.
affiliated, but
Mm-hmm.
also less than 1 year, like a
Got it.
1 year range. So this was like hitting all of my check boxes. I got a great scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
uh, great location,
Mm-hmm.
2 3 years to work after the education, and less than a 1 year course. You know, it was perfect, and that's why I chose USF.
Got it. And a follow-on question, you've dabbled with the Indian formal education system, and you've now gone to USF where your formal degree is in entrepreneurship. I'm curious, did you find any of the classes more valuable compared to your undergrad experience in India, or was it, more or less of the same?
I might not be the best person to answer this because I didn't go to a lot of classes in my undergrad.
Sure,
But
that's fair.
still, like well, from what I can reckon between, like a draw between the Indian and the US education system, I think one of the biggest things is freedom.
Mm,
Like from a cultural standpoint, I can get in the class, get out of the class whenever I want.
mhm,
They really understand what I'm doing. I think they're more empathetic towards who you are as a person and what you're doing. I
mhm,
think that is something, a lot of empathy for students. That's not what Indian universities have. And the
mhm.
reason might be the number of students because of the population.
Yeah, yeah.
In terms of education, I truly think neither is the best. Like, there's no comparison.
Yeah, and
The
Vasu,
Indian education.
I'm not just curious about education, but I'm specifically curious about entrepreneurial education.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh, so the thing is, uh, entrepreneurial education is something that is very difficult to quantify or to teach, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But what USF did, which was great, was they taught us the playbooks.
Okay.
Uh, During my classes, I really learned a lot about like very practical things
Mm-hmm.
that I need to understand, like what kind of IP should my product have? How should I register my company? Why should I do that in that way? So stuff like that, very practical stuff to get started. And
Mm-hmm.
secondly, a lot of thoughtful stuff, like a
Mm-hmm.
mindset point of view. So teaching how a founder's mentality should be,
Mm-hmm.
how and like reinforcing that from class to class,
Mm-hmm.
teaching that, I think that really imbibes those qualities into you. You really start thinking about that. And I think the most value you can get out of an entrepreneurial degree is if you're starting a startup, because
Mm-hmm.
then you can like hands-on apply whatever they're teaching. So I think that really helped. Yeah.
Interesting. And let's kind of jump a little forward to your current journey, right? You're building the startup Saki AI. Did you start it while you're at USF or right after, or was there some time in between?
So while I was at USF, I got this great opportunity to work part-time at Waymo,
Mm-hmm.
and I took up that opportunity like this. Obviously, like
Of
who
course,
wouldn't who
yeah.
would
It's
miss
it's
that?
a cool company.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was actually doing a lot of great work there. At the moment, Waymo's can't really park at paid public parking spaces
Mm-hmm.
because they have to. register their, like the paid parking infrastructure is manual at the moment. You
Mm-hmm.
can't pay from a phone or something like that. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to go outside and pay with the card or something like that. So they can't really park there at the moment. So I was building an interoperability layer which allowed these autonomous vehicles to pay uh, the government.
And
I
you said
think
tough word there, some inter something layer.
interoperability layer. So
What
it,
does that
it's
mean?
basically sort of a data lake which allows um, these autonomous vehicle companies, not just Waymo's, to send in their curbside data, how
Mm-hmm.
long they were parked at a certain spot, what was the reason, stuff like that. And then that would be extrapolated and sent to the government,
Mm-hmm.
and the government could basically bill those companies respectively.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And sorry, and then this Waymo thing happened, and then what happened?
So the Waymo thing happened. I was working there part time, and then I actually kind of went into a bad place again
Mm-hmm.
because I tried to apply for jobs. I don't know why. I really wanted to do my own thing, but I was like, the visa thing gets onto you, and you're like, I should start finding a job. And I
Yeah.
got a job at this company called Vanta.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, I didn't get it, but I got a interview. First
Mm-hmm.
interview went great.
Uh-huh.
Second interview went great.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the second interview, they tell me that, oh, we just noticed that you are on an F1 visa. I'm so sorry, we can't sponsor you. I'm
Uh,
like, couldn't you bloody tell me that before I even applied?
yeah. That's
It's
frustrating.
insane. It's insane. And I was like, we anyways are not gonna have these many jobs. I might as well, spend 5 months looking for a job,
Mm-hmm.
get a job, work there for another 8 months, and then get replaced by AI.
Yeah.
Instead, I would rather suffer for the next 4 months with money and visa and everything,
Mm-hmm.
get something up, get build a product that people really want,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, skip that 13 months of micro pleasure, and then I have to start my own thing. Instead, start my own thing now and be ready for the future. I I knew I was going the wrong way when started applying to jobs, and this really helped me get
Mm-hmm.
back into the direction. That was like literally the birth of Saki. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about that. Do you also want to explain in maybe one or two lines what Saki AI is?
So Saki AI is basically a lead generation solution
Mm-hmm.
built for vertical companies. So a lot of these vertical companies like health tech, property tech, marketing tech, they have very niche people they want to target.
Sure.
Finding those people,
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to them is really difficult. So we basically built a completely AI driven autonomous full stack solution where you just tell us who you're looking for. We will find those people across the web, not just LinkedIn, and then find a lot of data points and reach out to them in the perfect way so that we get a response.
Got it. And what are vertical companies?
So basically, we basically focus on vertical SaaS companies, but these are companies which are building something for one specific industry to
Mhm.
solve one specific problem.
Got it.
So
Any examples? Like is Waymo an example?
no, so Waymo is completely horizontal, right? But examples would be, so suppose there's a one of our companies is a clinician automation technology.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is they only target healthcare as an industry, and secondly, they only target non-democratic hospitals as a vertical in that.
Got it.
So
Very
very niche vertical targeting in terms of the kind of product they are building and they're selling to. So that's what I kind of mean by vertical companies.
got it. And I want to discuss two more quick topics before we run out of time. I have the Zoom free plans. We have 8.5 minutes left.
No worries.
Uh, the first thing I want to discuss is how you found your first customer, because I know you're at six figures of revenue right now, and I'm curious how you found your first customer. And the second topic I want to discuss, on your LinkedIn, there's some talk about HBIR. Uh, the
Oh,
how
HPAR.
are
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm curious to learn more about what that
yeah,
is.
yeah.
So let's do the first story of your first
Quickly.
customer.
So, firstly, how did we get our first customers? We talked to 115 founders before we wrote a single line of code because we knew we need to be building with them instead of for them.
Mhm.
Obviously we're building for them, but we really need to build alongside them so that a product is great. So we talked to these people and we were building alongside them. These are people from our networks and events and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
once the product was ready, they were the first ones to adopt us because they were like, okay, I literally gave insights and
Mhm.
they integrated that and built a product using those insights. So
Mhm.
when they're personally vested into something like this, they
Yeah.
really want to be. So that's how we got our first five customers and touched 150K in ARR. And following that, we use our own product to get more customers.
Got it. And a follow-on question, I guess. How did you decide this is a space you wanted to build in? Like, did you randomly start talking to founders and decide this is a problem, or did you start with this problem and then have conversations that kind of, streamline
The
things?
first thing, so with AI, we have a solution.
Mhm.
We know that we can build things easily, we can solve a lot of problems, but everyone is on a hunt to find the perfect problem to solve, and we went that way.
So you just went cold, like you reached out and said, like, hey, can I talk to you? And said, what problems are you dealing with right now? Is that exactly how you
That is
did?
pretty much it. We just sat down with them, understood, because every founder has one problem in their mind, which is the biggest problem for which they are willing to pay the most money. That
Hmm,
is how we went for. Yeah.
got it. Interesting. And I'd actually love to dive deeper into that, but let's get to the Harvard thing. So I saw that first help me understand, like, what is that?
So HPAIR is the Harvard Project for Asian and International Relations. It's
Mm-hmm.
a sort of a club in Harvard University,
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest clubs which organizes a conference in one Asian country every year.
Okay.
So it's a pretty big conference, and you basically have to bid for hosting it in your country.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, During my undergrad, this is one of the other things I was constantly involved in, which disallowed me to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I got this opportunity to work alongside a team to bid for it. We did bid for hosting it in India, and luckily we won. And we basically worked alongside Harvard students
Mm-hmm.
to organize this huge conference in India. It was one of the largest student conferences. It was in Delhi, and yeah, it was like 1 year of my time. I was constantly invested in this. We were building, raising money for like from sponsors, organizing everything, getting the
Yeah.
hotels. So, like the whole conference organizing experience. Learned a lot from that. I was taking care of corporate relations, so I was the sales side of things, talking to corporates, getting money from them, stuff like that.
That's pretty cool. And I read that you raised $160,000 for this. I'm very
Yeah.
curious, like, how do you even raise a single dollar for something like this? Like what do you do?
So the playbook is firstly a lot of the money also came from like the ticket revenue from the students,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which we were responsible for as well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the money came from the CSR funds of these big companies. And when it's something like Harvard, they're really interested in investing something like this because it was like the first time they were organizing it in India.
Sure. And did you reach out to the CSR funds cold, or did you have some, connections that you could like start with some warm leads or like?
Both. We had a lot of advisors in our board, so
Mm-hmm.
they helped us make warm introduction, but we also did cold outreach that helped us out.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's quite fascinating, man. I mean, there's so many aspects of your life that I feel I can do just one more hour, just diving into like what happened here, what happened there. Uh,
Yeah.
I know we're at a few minutes left. I'm curious, is there any other part of your story or your journey or anything at all that you would want to speak more about or you wished we touched upon that?
I think there are multiple things, but like for anyone who would watch this, I just want to create some value for them and a
Mhm.
couple of things that have boiled down from all of my experiences that I've had.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty young, okay? Still in my early 20s. So, uh, uh it's sometimes difficult for people to believe me that I've been able to do so much, but that
No,
is
man,
another
you,
thing
you
that's
you you sound like a competent guy, and everything you've said so far like adds up logic wise and from my experience, if that means anything.
but yeah, so a couple of like things that I learned along the way. The most amount of time that a person should spend in a decision, uh there are basically three decisions on which they should spend the most amount of time.
Hmm.
First is, what are you going to do in life?
Hmm.
What exactly is it? For
Hmm.
me, it was clear. I wanted to start something, add value. North Star metric was adding value, seeing people's eyes lit up.
Hmm.
That is numero uno. You should
Mm-hmm.
be sure and take a mindful decision of what are you going to do. Second, who are you going to do this with, right? Because you are the sum of the five people in your network, five closest people.
Mm-hmm.
Just pick those people really carefully. Get rid of the toxic ones.
Got
And
it.
third, where are you going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
For me, again, Valley, no better place. But where are you going to do it impacts so much.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do these three things right,
Mm-hmm.
you will create a lot of luck for yourself. Yeah.
Surface area luck, right? That's what you're talking about.
What?
Have you heard of that? I think it's called surface area luck. That's the term, I believe.
I'm not sure if I've heard of it, but like
Yeah.
my definition for luck is like people think to get lucky, you get lucky,
Mm-hmm.
but you can actually get lucky if you manufacture luck by being in the right place, by doing the right thing, and by doing it with the right people. And that's why these three decisions are really important because they help you become lucky in life.
Awesome. No, thank you so much for your time, Vasu. I really appreciated this conversation with you, and maybe we'll have another conversation in the future. I'm as a last thing, we have a minute and a half left. I'm curious if you have any questions for me. You don't have to ask if you don't have any. If there's
Uh-huh.
anything you're curious about, feel free to shoot.
No, I'm just interested, like, what prompted, because like I think podcasting is one of the best ways to connect with people. What
Mhm.
prompted you to start this thing?
Yeah, I mean it's exactly what you said. I think originally I tried to start a YouTube channel just because I thought it's going to be a part of my life, and I knew I wanted to talk about entrepreneurship just because that's what I've been very passionate about. And at some point, I realized that having a podcast lets you talk to other people. Like, I enjoy connecting with other entrepreneurs and learning their stories. But it's one thing for me to reach out to you and say, "Hey, Vasu, you have a interesting story. Can I just like ask you a bunch of questions for 30 minutes?" Versus, "Hey, do you want to come on my podcast and share your story?" And I'm
Yeah,
basically asking the same questions that I would have asked you if we ended up on some, one-on-one chat, right? So that was kind of my motivation. I
nice.
can talk to anyone, and that opens another dimension to my life.
Got it. Thank you so much for hosting me, man.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, see ya.